All right. Welcome to We Are Something Else, episode 135. Happy feelings. And we're back. It's your boy Kaleo. There's CB. There's E Rich. Fellas. Oh, look at that. CB's perfectly in the middle of the smiley face. There we go. All right. I'm going to keep that up for a second. No, fellas, what's good? How's everybody?
It's Thursday. I'd almost said it's Friday because Friday's tomorrow, but yes, uh, today is Thursday. Time to hang with the fellas, get some good banner in. Uh, this week wasn't as bad as last week, but I can see the trend of work kind of pressing in the direction of more busy than anything else. What up, Ma?
Chuck
What up, mama?
Crack. Look at that. A familiar face, an old friend.
So, but yeah, outside of that though, this weather's kind of up and down. I just saw somebody on IG talking about summer. Leave your ass where you are right now. Spring is still in the driver's seat, so allow it to do its thing. And yeah, so we can get to that. We'll be all right.
I mean, technically here, I don't even think we've gotten into spring. It doesn't really know what it's like. It doesn't know what it wants to do. Spring one day, then we kind of revert back to winter. It's like kind of. I don't think we haven't even had like a hint of summer within the spring. The spring days we've had. I mean, it's gotten hot, but no humidity.
Yeah, I feel like we have those days where it starts off in the 40s or 50s, and it might creep up like into maybe the high 70s.
Yep.
But I'm not saying we're quite the desert out here, but it's definitely that recipe for getting people sick with that fluctuation
Yeah.
in the temperature. That's for sure.
That part.
Yeah.
So how's your week, CB?
Honestly, work has been fucking wild this week. There's no way for me to describe it other than that.
We must work at the same company.
Yeah. Um, like I think y'all know, I've said this a couple of times. Last year, I assumed some new duties within the department that I've worked in for the last 8 years, and some of that requires me to work just different hours than
Yep.
what I'm used to. Um, and it's all for good reason and a good cause and all that stuff. But I've had three basically open to close days out of four, um,
Sheesh.
which is it wasn't planned this way.
Right.
But that's just the nature of the beast. That's how this week has been, man. So I'm ready for the weekend. I'm ready to just get this particular work week over with. But shout out to my guys. They qualified for the Champions League final. Liverpool is still in it for a legendary quadruple. No one's been eligible for that this late in any soccer football season. So they got a big game on. Every game for them at this point is big, but they got a big game Saturday. I just want to get through the work week, get to that, and get to the rest of my weekend.
Nice. I mean, like if I was smart, I should have named this episode "Mama Said There'd Be Days Like This." I mean, because I concur with you, CB. This has been, I think, the past couple weeks. I've said that there's been like this week has been hell on earth, or it's just been busy, and like you, I assume new duties, and I
Yep.
also let some of my old duties go, and it's just, I
Only
mean,
let those go because they didn't think you were able to give enough time to the
to the
new
new,
duties.
I
You
mean,
know?
hey, look, it makes sense, and I'm not mad that you're taking some off my plate, but there's definitely more there, so my plate is full. But you know, we have outlets like this. We can look forward to this. I mean,
For sure.
I'm used to be like on time with this, like prepped at least a couple days ahead of time, but this is definitely slacked off. Like I mean, we're scrambling. Like, tonight, I was just sitting here. I was like, oh my god, I'm actually 3 minutes ahead of time. But last past couple weeks has been scrambling. And I'm just sitting here like a deer in headlights. Like, oh shit, I don't know anything about what we're talking about. We're just gonna get through it. But
Which is hilarious since you're the one that normally sets the
I
agenda
know,
for
right?
us all.
I know, right? I find these great topics, and I mean to do research on it, and then everything intentions start out good. But
You know.
yeah, but look, even before this busy week, I was out, went to Vegas last weekend. Yeah, because tomorrow will be a week. See how time rolls. So yeah,
It's crazy.
yeah, I had a good time out there. I was able to get some R&R, do some celebrating. But this kind of leads me to an impromptu that I didn't really put in the chat, but kind of want to get a feel for timeshares. Have any of you ever sat in on a timeshare presentation?
I can fortunately say that I have not had the
You are
pleasure.
probably the 1% because it's got to be at least 99 at some point in everybody's life, either with your parents because they drag you there, or as an adult because you like free shit
Yeah.
or the sound of free shit, right? So
Yeah.
let me just tackle this for people who don't know what when I'm talking about when I say timeshares or timeshare meeting. This is where either some company has a team out, a road team, or they have a phone team, and they call you and they offer you something that you typically probably wouldn't pay for, that you want to do, but you don't have the means to get right away, and they're going to offer to you for free. So, once you come to this timeshare, sitting on our meeting that's about an hour and a half, we'll pay you for your time. Bam, you've already got my attention because you're going to pay me for my time for something I got to sit down at. And, you don't have to be pressured to buy anything. Oh, so I just got to sit here and listen to you for an hour and a half, and I'm going to get what? Just sit here and listen. We'll give you $150, $200, and then you'll get and we'll give you a free trip. Typically, this is how they pull you in. Free trip somewhere. You're like, well, damn, I could use a vacation. 5 days, 4 nights, whatever, bam, let's do it. And then typically that hour and a half stretches to 3 hours. So first, now they've already got you because one, for example, the one I went to recently, how they got you up there was, well, it's $40 to sit in on a presentation, but it's refundable. So now they have your $40 hostage because you've already committed to go. Okay. So that is the first hustle. The second part of the hustle is that they tell you it's an hour. I sit for an hour and a half, and I can get $150. Bam, that's easy. I got $150, but I didn't have a half hour for about an hour ago. Man, I can go shopping, give me some kicks, have a good dinner. Then 3 hours later, you realize that shit wasn't worth it at all. At all. They are the worst. Go ahead, E. I mean, first of all, this should be illegal. Should it be illegal?
I think the time limit should be illegal. I think it should definitely be one of those. You need that Dave Chappelle like wrap it up button. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You should be able to have. So for $40, I feel like I should have this wrap it up button. That at this point in time, what you just said, I don't need to hear anymore. Let's wrap it up. I'm gonna pass go and go directly to. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm just gonna go collect my money and get out of here. No,
Right.
I've sat through a couple of them actually.
Disney is famous for time travel meetings.
Yeah, I think the one I sat through years ago was like for World Mark, you know what I mean, for, a timeshare and, so then, the guy comes in, he looks like a salesman, he's trying to break down the room and how much do you make, sir? And how much, how often do you go on vacations and what's your typical amount of money you spend? And it's really more psychological breakdown than it is financial. The financial part doesn't come
That's
until
a
you
perfect
actually sit
assessment.
down.
Perfect assessment.
It is because what they do is they try to hang on something that again they have to catch something in order for them to then will you in, and then the financial part is that of the next person has to be just as financially savvy to make you think that you're not coming off a whole lot of money when you actually are. You know what I mean? However, yeah, it was a waste. I mean, everybody that goes into there, that's like, if you're not even looking at this from a perspective of you did your research prior to you even getting here, the answer is no to everything. No, no,
Absolutely.
no. Can you do this? Yes. But do I want to? No. Can
Right.
you afford this? Yes. Do you want to do this? No.
No.
You know what I mean? So and then what happens is um the questions are, if you were to say, well, how often do you go, to Taco Bell? And you can say, I go uh, 2 or 3 times a week. And they'll be like, okay. And
They
you'll
don't
say,
want
but
me answering
no.
that question.
Right, but let's say your answer is yes. That's how often you go. Like, okay, well, what if I can tell you that you can take that 2 to 3 weeks, and on those 2 to 3 times a week that you don't go, you can save that, and let's say the next month, if you miss it, you can go, and you're not even paying for anything different than what you would have paid for in the 2 to 3 weeks. Your mind, you're thinking like, what? Shut up! I understand what this means. The answer is still no, but they tried to persuade you mentally to think that is different than another scenario that they just gave you that you told them the answer is no.
Right.
I think it's highway robbery. I do think that there should be a cap on it. But again, financially, you only speak for yourself. And, most of the time, people who get those complain about the fees that are
The hidden
associated
fee.
with it after the fact.
Exactly. And
So,
then they're like, we'll hand you a deed. You will own this property. The deed, we're going to email you the deed. Email? What the fuck? But we'll email you the deed. You will own this property for this week every year. So they're making you think you know, this is yours. Well, I mean, I only own this shit for a week. Well, what if I can't go this week, the year after next? Right? Well, then you can swap with people. You can do this and do that. But the thing is, if you swap, you got to have an attractive property. So if Hawaii is your timeshare, but you can't make it to Hawaii this week, or you want to go somewhere else, that'd probably be easy to swap with somebody. But if you own a timeshare in Williamsburg, Virginia, who the hell wants to go to Williamsburg, Virginia for their vacation? Nobody's going to do that. So that's the thing. And all the hidden fees like maintenance and all that. And then, like, how bad it is because you hear commercials on the radio. If you never paid attention, are you stuck in timeshare debt? You want to get out? Well, here's how you do it. It's a mess. It's a ripoff. But yeah, and if I own extra property, I would want to go whenever I want to go. Who says I need to take just a summer vacation? I want to take a winter vacation. I mean, we can dive deeper a little bit later, but I'm because there's a lot to talk about. But that right there alone, it's a game. And then ultimately, what I want to do, if I return to Vegas or anytime I go to another time, and let me never say never because I thought I would never do it again, and somehow I ended up with one last weekend. But I will wear a shirt that says "Ain't shit free" because it's not. Because the free trip that I won or that we got was $300. Somewhere the math don't add up.
it's the $40 for me. I'm sorry. I still don't understand that.
Well, $40. I mean, shit. Yeah, you hold my $40. At this point, like, fuck it, keep the $40. I don't care. That's $40 I would lost in the machine anyway.
Yeah, right.
Shit, I just lose it here. All right. Especially out in Vegas,
That's a round of drinks out in Vegas. Damn.
Exactly. Let's start out with this right here. Everybody knows what Team RH is. Jesus. All right, so if I throw the name Isaiah Lee out at you, a lot of people wouldn't know who the hell that was about 48 hours ago. But let me show you a picture of Isaiah Lee.
2 left arms.
Now Isaiah Lee is the idiot, the Will Smith wannabe that jumped on stage while Dave Chappelle was filming his Netflix comedy special with friends, whatever it's called. He jumps on the stage, tackles Dave, and then from there, like you see him running around the stage. If you haven't seen this clip, it's everywhere. Even a better crystal clear image of the clip has been released. It's not just the raggedy one from the very beginning. A better shot has been released. And you see him tackle Dave. Luckily, I guess Dave kind of was warned or braced himself as the guy was coming in, so it wasn't as bad as it could have been. Then you see him run off stage, and then you don't see him again until you see this picture. Now, I'm assuming he didn't go up on stage like that with an arm that was twisted to a different direction. Like somebody put the arm on Mr. Potato Head the wrong way. But I'm assuming what took place behind that the screen that you can see is a gang of people whooping his ass, which is rightfully deserved. So, along with that, they recovered this. This is a knife in the shape of a gun, or whatever they were calling it. It's not a real gun, but if you pull the trigger, the knife does eject. He had this on him. This is what they're reporting. Now, I don't know if someone from the inside gave it to him, or if he was able to get it in, if he was able to sneak it past security, but somehow he had this on him. And I go back to this could have been worse than what actually happened. So let's just pose the question. My first question was, what went wrong here? Now, we were supposed to have a security expert on the show tonight, but Pops didn't feel comfortable speaking on something he didn't have 100% information on, which I get it. So, first question, you fellas. What went wrong here, in your opinion?
Hollywood Bowl security.
Daniel, what's good, man? Long time no see.
Hope you're feeling better, bro. I know he was dealing with he's been dealing with COVID.
Oh,
so I hope Dan is doing well.
Get better for sure, Daniel.
Yeah.
Daniel's
I mean, yeah, I saw
it does look like a Chuck Norris weapon.
I saw someone on Twitter compare that weapon. They're like, yo, if I wanted a gun that, wasn't actually that dangerous and couldn't shoot when I needed it to, I would just hire Ben Simmons. And I thought that shit was really funny. I mean, if you got an issue with a comedian, you got to, for the most part, like this isn't who was my man from, was it Seinfeld, who a number of years ago was just blurting out the N-word all over his
the Kramer guy, Michael, whatever his name is. Yep.
Like this isn't something like that in my opinion. But if you're going to a comedy show because you really dislike someone's brand of comedy, you might need to just check yourself and not go to the fucking show, because comedy in its stand-up in its purest form is one of the last places of for real freedom of speech, you know.
Absolutely.
What I mean? And so I think in reading up on some of the developments in this situation, Howie Mandel came out and said that he feels that this is the end of stand-up, where we're at after the Oscars, and then with this happening and everything like that, people aren't allowed to do their job, which is to make jokes. And I mean, honestly, dude got what was coming to him. You're literally not that is not appropriate. If someone, I don't know where Isaiah works, but if someone came into his job and just tried and tackled his ass, what I will say is that they turned his old schools that he was wearing into wavy babies. They beat his ass that bad. So, yeah. But damn, bro, that Dave Chappelle is one of my favorite, if not my favorite comedian of all time, for me personally. So it's it's lame to see him in the news recently for this compared to like anything else. But I mean, jokes were made afterwards, so that is still alive and
That was
well.
funny.
Yeah.
How perfect is the timing that Chris Rock was actually there,
Yeah.
and he was able to. And even if it wasn't, I mean, it was just a delivery of a line. Is that Will Smith?
That might have been
But
Chris Rock's best
but,
joke in
but
years.
that was hilarious. Like
Yeah.
so, I mean, I think, and I'll let you go after this. E. I think that is what and I'm gonna take this back to Will Smith. What Will Smith did opened up the floodgates, and I'm blaming it solely on him because typically before you might get a heckler, just somebody talking shit in the crowd, you might get that, and you've never seen anything like this where at least a major comedian, and I take that back because DC Young Fly did get approached by someone, and I think he ended up punching him on stage. DC Young Fly punched the guy on stage, but I think from what Will Smith did, this is going to make people more bold to doing things like this. Go ahead, E.
Yeah, I'll be the devil's advocate here. I disagree. I disagree that Will Smith is the gatekeeper to people losing their minds and thinking that they can test boundaries. I just think that it one because of the level of the person who it was and the stage that it was on. But comedy shows have this all the time. You got to think of how many comedy shows that are going on all over the country that are improvs and the laugh factories and all that stuff. I think TK Kirkland one time had a dude run up on him, and he hit him with the two piece, and that was it. He was like, and he's more of an improv, kind of comedian to where he then still was talking about the dude as they was rolling his ass out the club. You know what I mean? And it's just like, the whole purpose of it is people do it thinking they can test that person. I don't think it has anything to do with the industry in itself. It has everything to do with will they test that person. That's no different from a
Right.
bully coming up to you testing the weakest one to see if he's going to defend himself, right? So, but in their view, you know what I mean? Oh shit, I can't remember which one. There was one. The one where Mike Tyson was at? The dude walked up on stage to go to Mike. You know what I mean? So it's a celebrity thing, right? Like it's just a person coming off the street or off of whatever. They're going to either want to approach you with the kind of the fanboy mentality, or they just have an automatic problem with you, right? And that's just exactly what it is. I still blame Hollywood Bowl security. I think anything that allows anybody to get a running start, which again, Pops might be watching this, but what we call runoff. You know what I mean? Now, usually that's made for kind of cards approaching a certain venue. But when you're talking about inside of that, the gates are supposed to have a certain barrier, and most of the time people can get over them. But that's why you place everybody in a certain position, and that you can see there's a scan, there's a certain kind of distance between you and the next person. Of when that person is even hits the wall running, you should still be in arm's length to even if to catch that person to even come up there. Again, it's not to the point where I feel like Cats is gonna be up there with death row security. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like come up on the stage and you. But again, this is I think to just kind of go off of this and just be done with it. What happened is what needed to be seen to say this ain't this ain't the little the Hollywood. This ain't Hollywood. Filming this. You run up on some of these people that are still you run up on a Tony Baker. I'm sure he's still gonna mollywop you, and then have skibbity pap comedy about that all day long, right?
Right.
It's just the nature of it, right? I don't think that it's a Will Smith thing. I think it would be irrational of me to even say that he opened the floodgates for people to do this when Kanye went up and just because it wasn't a physical altercation, got up on stage on Taylor Swift.
This is true.
Little
This is
Mama
true.
got up on stage and was acting like she a part of the damn show. If anything, if somebody would have pushed her little, light weather ass out, then it would have been a problem. Then it would have been now anybody felt like they can approach. But we've seen where people run up on stage and
Oh yeah,
either get tackled on concerts. So my thing is, it's the fan part of it, but whatever problem this dude had was more so with Dave, and I don't think it was oh, I'm doing this for X, Y, and Z. He had a problem with Dave as if he knew the
mm-hmm.
dude. You know what I'm saying? So
Right, right.
I mean, Pac said it the best. Somebody's gonna come up and run up on you after so many years of hating you or hating you from the sideline that you're not even gonna remember or even think about. And you call it what it is, but for somebody to see it on the outside, it's gonna be like, what gave him the gumption to go and run up on you?
Right, right. I mean, and we've seen, like you said, we've seen the the engaging fan before. It happens in football all the time where just people want their 10 seconds of fame where they run up and down the field. We've seen hell. We saw one of the most famous ones, Evander Holyfield and Riddick Bowe, where the parachute guy comes in the middle of the ring during the middle of the fight. Yeah, so this does happen. I think my end of it was the actual physical aspect of it, where the intention is there. Like when Will Smith walked on stage, his intention was to smack Chris Rock. Right? When this guy walked on stage, ran on stage, his intention was to get physical with Dave. The 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 Kanye, and Taylor Swift thing, his intention, yeah, was to embarrass her, or it wasn't necessarily towards her. It was more so towards MTV's decision to give it to her. But yeah, I mean, all this stuff is definitely where people think they can engage or become part of the story because they're sitting close by, right? They're 15 seconds of fame. Now, Hollywood Bowls, yeah. So typically, how these things work, a lot of people don't. A lot of people should know. Yes, you have event security. Those are your security people that wear the green and the yellow jackets that just say security on the back. And typically, the only thing that they have in their possession that can do anything to you is a flashlight or a phone or walkie so they can call somebody else. But you have the event security. Those are the ones who mostly you'll see in masses throughout the arena placed strategically. Then you have the personal security, most likely. High profile celebrities have security. Whether it's a bodyguard or security, most of these guys who can't travel without being recognized or having all this attention do have their own somebody with them. Now that's my thing right there. So that aspect, if that person made it past event security, however they were set up, there's also if you see a picture of the stage is huge, right? It's huge. So whoever was supposed to be, and I'm sure Dave Chappelle he doesn't travel alone. He's got somebody with him, whether it's a friend that's supposed to have his back, a personal security, somebody, or like he may hire a company. Somebody is supposed to be watching him to make sure he's okay. Well, at that point, for that person to get to him, and I'm not making any. This is just what I see. I'm not making any. I'm not telling the story how it was, but for that person to make it to him, the perfect vantage point to go up there untouched and get hands on Dave, the ball dropped at least two different places. So, and Dave played it off like a G. Like he was able to get into his jokes, but sometimes shit like that has to scare you, especially when you find out the dude has a weapon, and it could have gone. I mean, he got his hands on him. If that weapon was out, if he wanted to,
My man, to go in for the tackle, honestly, on Dave, he was like 20 years too late. You know what I mean? Because we look at Dave early in his career, he was a skinny man. He was a skinny boy, and as a grown ass man, he's actually been hitting the gym. Like Dave took that shot like a slot receiver. Like
Yep.
he was ready for it. And obviously he was able to bounce back up and everything. But homie, he was 20 years too late to try to go with that approach, in my opinion, based off of how it went.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
just the last part of this, which is the more disheartening part out of all of this. The uh, I think the L.A. They changed the charges from felony to
There, that
misdemeanor,
was my. Yep.
Yeah,
which
yeah.
which again, it's listen. All I'm gonna say is Dave Chappelle's next stand up is going to be probably one of his best because all this shit is going to do is just fuel
Let
the
Dave
fire.
and Chris tour together.
Whatever. I don't even care about that. What I'm saying is if you think about the jokes that'll come off of this, but then the undertone of the simple fact is, let's just be honest, if that was Taylor Swift up there, if that was Adele, if that was somebody else, there would be no question and no reason why felony charges
Yep.
would be not when you're talking about a weapon that is
Yep.
intent to kill. That wasn't a I'm just gonna scratch you. That was a weapon intent to kill.
And when I
So
look at
how is
that,
this going at?
do y'all remember those switchblades that were combs? You
Right.
switch it out as a pocket comb.
Like
But look,
I wonder if Dave had, because they haven't really, I haven't seen anything about whether he actually was the one that was like filing charges or whatever. But I wonder if there's a reason behind this guy, for essentially having the charges drop down in terms of
yeah, that's
severity,
crazy.
was because Dave was like, he wasn't going to be involved or whatever to a certain degree.
Yeah,
Because
that's
you know,
crazy. Hopefully, I'm sure this
I
story
think my
is
man needs some help. You know what I mean? Not
right.
Dave,
Yeah,
but
this story is far from over for sure.
yeah.
And I'm sure that for that to happen, that guy definitely has a personal issue with Dave.
He's
What's
got
that?
his own demons going on.
Exactly. All right.
He'll get beat
So,
up in jail.
oh yeah. The most important part of the day, everybody tells you, is breakfast, right? How many of us actually eat breakfast every morning? CB, E?
I would
Not
be
every
lying if I
morning.
told you I ate breakfast every morning. That would be a lie. That'd be a bold-faced lie. Unless you
Okay.
consider drinking a cup of coffee breakfast, which that ain't eating. You know what I mean?
Got you. Now, what about cereal? Cereal necessarily is it's a breakfast food, but I think cereal is one of those things. Can be tweeners, snacks. Before the bed kind of meal. All of us have partake in cereal, and I think CB's even expressed certain types of cereal that he likes.
It's
But
true.
and most of us, vitamin D milk, half 2%, 1%. I don't know anybody who likes skim milk, but whatever. But just when we thought that there was nothing else left to tackle in the world of cereal, bam, Tropicana Crunch. This is the first cereal meant to be eaten with orange juice. Now, I don't know if anybody's ever done this before. Like if somebody sat at home and put orange juice in their frosted flakes and like, hey, this is actually pretty good. Now we should probably pair some seasons with it, the right flavors with it, and it'll be perfect. But Tropicana Crunch, it is described as honey almond clusters that are made to be spooned and sipped with a breakfast taste. Now, I'm trying to pass with a glass of orange juice sitting there, and I don't know. Are we out of ideas now? This is where we're at. Who's excited about Tropicana Crunch? Go ahead. You look like you.
Nobody. Nobody. I'm gonna keep this one short. Fuck this. This is stupid. This whole idea is stupid, and whoever came up with it in Tropicana marketing is getting fired before the sales numbers come in. Nobody's doing this. One, now's the fucking worst time to do it because everything is that much more expensive. So I'm not going to put a fucking $10 bottle of Tropicana in a fucking $8 box of cereal just for the shit to be nasty, and then nobody's gonna eat the shit. Because guess what? You made the cereal designed to have fucking orange juice in it and not regular milk. So I'm out of money. This is trash. Like I saw this and I really was just like, this is like that one time that I don't write companies. I don't have time for it. But I literally want to write Tropicana and say, fire whoever came up with this. Tell them they need to restart. This is not it. This is stupid. It's stupid.
CB, our expert cereal connoisseur.
So, one of the things that I've learned as an adult, I haven't learned many things, but one of the things that I have learned is that breakfast cereal is actually dessert. Like the amount of sugar and shit that is in breakfast cereal, the propaganda that we were fed as children, like there is no reason in the first place really for us to be getting these kids hopped up on all this sugar in the morning, you know what I mean? So nowadays it's very rare that we have breakfast cereal in the crib. But if we do, I actually now eat it like as dessert, like instead of ice cream, like which was a traditional thing growing up. It's like I'm gonna have me a bowl of Reese's Puffs. Like that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at.
Yo, with Be Easy, what's good, bro?
With
this, how you feel about Tropicana Crunch? Be Easy, put that in the comments.
Yeah, we need to know how B feels about this. Like E said, I mean, it cracks me up. $18 for some breakfast. Like, what am I doing? Am I going to IHOP because I can get more food for less money at the International House of Pancakes? I can tell you that right now. And if I want like dessert for breakfast, give me pancakes. Give me actual cake. You know what I mean? But I think this is kind of hilarious. The marketing is kind of doing its own job because I mean we're fucking talking about it.
This is true.
And what I read was they're going to be giving these boxes away for free. So, you know, it's one of those things where if this is going to drive people to be like, oh shit, yeah, I got to get me some Tropicana. You know, maybe that works. But I think like to me, this is just comedy. Like this is kind of hilarious. And like this is a social media food. There's no other way for me to describe it. It's made for people to post. It's made for people to be like, oh, guess what I bought? Look what I'm eating. I'm eating that cereal with the orange juice. Like next thing we know, OJ Simpson's gonna be posting pictures of him eating this shit. You know what I mean? And that's gonna give more content for Dave Chappelle for his next, his next comedy special. You know.
So look, 2 points, and then you guys can go. So one thing we know, typically, what the best part of cereal is the leftover milk.
Yes.
And the flavor that has absorbed into that milk for you to finish off the bowl, right? I can't imagine flavored orange juice that's left in the bowl, like an almond honey orange juice that's left with particles. Now, that's the first part, right? That's the first part of it. It's the first part of it. Now, is this cereal owned? Obviously, Tropicana wants you to use their stuff, but we all know that there's various types of milk. Different companies make milk, right? Different companies make orange juice. Does this cereal taste good with Donald Duck orange juice? Does this cereal taste good with sugar-free or light orange juice? Does this cereal taste good with extra pulp orange juice?
They better not.
You're going to choke the fuck on some cereal if you got orange juice pulp in granola. Because if I'm looking at the picture, it really looks like Special K mixed with honey bunches of oats with fucking orange juice in it.
And honestly, this is the last point I'm going to make on this, and then
Rashad,
if you got something else.
This shit?
I'm mad at the marketing of the initial picture that you put up, Kaleo. If you'll put that back up real quick. Because let's be honest. Let's be honest. Do you think either of your mothers is pouring that shit for you in the morning? You know what I mean?
The fuck out of here. Good catch, CB.
It is, bro. We know whose mom would be pouring that for him. His name rhymes with Glad.
Listen, and to finish off that point, all I'm gonna say is the Dukes must have cornered the orange juice market or they must know what the crop report is gonna come in as, because where the fuck did this just come out of nowhere? The orange juice, like this is beyond. This is definitely one of the worst persuasion actions that I've ever seen happen this year. And yes, I said it. I had
Target
to.
marketing. Absolutely. Next thing you know, there's gonna be cereal that tastes good with soda. Yeah, exactly. Can you imagine putting soda in Rice Krispies? All that sizzling and popping going on in there.
Or a McDonald's Sprite.
Oh,
Might burn a hole right
no
through
more
your
ideas.
esophagus.
No more ideas. All right. So, moving on. The notes right. What do we know about the Tulsa Race Massacre? So, for those who don't know, Tulsa Race Massacre occurred May 31st into June 1st of 1921. This is where white residents, they were deputized, given weapons, and they went into the black communities in Tulsa and, one, burned the village down, but then also, two, attacked the residents. So massacre, you can put that down as a context clue of what happened here. It wasn't pretty, wasn't nice. Back in 1921, nothing nice really happened to black people. But one of the purpose for this story is that a judge has recently ruled that the three survivors, I believe I read it right, that there are three survivors over about 99, over 100 years old, that are suing for reparations from the massacre. And the judge has allowed for this case to continue. Like, the charges will keep going. We're going to actually have a trial. So at this point, I mean, I don't know the race of the judge. I don't know the gender of the judge. But I know that perhaps this judge is trying to right a wrong, rectify a situation, with what maybe a little bit of time left with a 99-year-old and a couple of 100-year-olds. This is probably for, I guess, I think it's just trying to make a wrong right to I guess, three survivors from a situation. And there'll probably never be one thing you could do, but this is a good gesture. All right. Go ahead, E.
Nah, so this for everybody to know. I asked for this to be talked about. The group.
That's what she said.
You're the team captain when it comes to this specific topic. If people don't know the history, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I've been Team Black Wall Street for many moons. Ask Cleo. I represented on the back of my football jersey for the What's Next crew. The reason why I wanted to bring this up, and let's just, I put this in the perspective of a history lesson. There were clearly more massacres around the United States of full on, let's just call it just straight up black communities in themselves, thriving, doing their own thing. We always go back to the Emmett Till situation on the white lady telling a lie, which then got Emmett Till, lynched, hung, beats, all the stuff that was done to him. I think what it comes down to is, it's not until, what we talked about before. It's when the small that initial victory or that initial thing that happens, it's like you gotta the dominoes have always been stacked, right? And that's us telling the history. But nothing has fallen in the direction of where it should after they've been stacked. It's almost like there's just there for the history lesson to be seen and not really told. Um, I truly believe, and I think I've said this before, maybe just kind of in regular comments, that Black Wall Street, or if you will, Tulsa, would have been the black version of the Hamptons by now, if that were to be left alone and thriving the way it was at the time. The problem was is clearly not able to expand that because of, again, just somebody's mere lie or cry, and the simple fact that they really don't want us to see us to be in power or to have anything that will threaten their existence, based upon just our overall, just the way we get down with life. I mean, just we just do it better. You know what I mean? I hate to say it. So, but anyway, I wanted to bring this up because, again, we recently just got, and I say we because this is all of us, everybody that's on here. We recently got back the beach property out here in Cali. And you
Yep.
talking about how long ago that was, and yet it's now returned. This is for me, that was that turning block of, okay, now we need to go down. Now again, we'll do it another time. I'll say it. We'll save it for another show, another class. But that nice little area that everybody likes to go to in New York to see, and that nice little park area really ain't y'all's. You know what I'm saying? It was definitely ours to start with, and around a whole lot of other locations. So let Black Wall Street or Tulsa become back to reparations as far as the property owned by either the family, which then they can take that to the family tree and begin to break that down, and however, right, whatever monetary wise that would happen from the museum benefits to all this other stuff that happens. I think it's going to feed into other locations that have just woken up. And we got a big topic that we're about to get ready to talk about that I feel kind of plays right into this, which is when the narrative is too scary for the masses, and understanding that they know it can overtake just what they are trying to control at the end of the day. Movements like this is what makes them scared, and that's why we have to continue to be aware of it. You know what I'm saying? I press everybody to understand that the we start small, but understand that it can evolve into something bigger. You know what I mean? Don't ever think that your little small piece of land ain't worth nothing, because at the end of the day, it can always be multiplied over and over again. So that's where we at with it.
Preach. Preach. No, totally agree. Like I said, I think it's a good gesture to right a wrong, years and years and years later. Unfortunately, not everybody thinks, that way, or not everybody has been probably on board to do something like this. But the fact that it's
City of Tulsa
happening,
to start.
yeah, like I said, and then the fact that the beach property was finally returned, that all it takes is one out of a lot of no's. You realize what kind of power that is? A thousand people can say no, but if one person says yes, it happens. So, we kind of had the Don Staley thing up next. I won't dive deep into that. I'm just gonna cut to the point of we'll go into her being the highest paid, but really it's not about her. And now let's talk about women in general, right? And what's happening right now with women's right to choose, right? You have groups of people who don't have a say or shouldn't have a say whatsoever in how women decide to make a decision, trying to make decisions for them or trying to take away their decisions. And it's disgusting because, I mean, A lot of our ancestors had their decisions taken away from them, didn't have a choice, right? And then it took women even longer to get rights, and now it feels like we're reverting back because old school thinkers, not necessarily old in age, but there are some younger old school thinkers out there, want to take away rights because they feel a certain way when it has nothing to do with them at all. Comments?
As a male, as a man, um,
No point,
it's one of those things where at this point I want to know what we can do outside of just having a voice to help. You know what I mean? Because I think at least between the three of us, we're all on the same page as far as like, if it's a woman's body, why are men out here the ones that are out here trying to make the rules?
Yeah.
Um, I don't know if there are any laws in place that necessarily govern the male body. You know what I mean? Um, and you have guys out there that will, because we're talking about Roe v. Wade, right? We're
Yep.
talking about people being like women being able to like have abortions and things like that, right? And there are men out there who have paid hush money to have something like this happen because
Mm-hmm.
it would be bad for them if it came out, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it's okay for it to happen if it's benefiting the man in the situation.
Mm-hmm. Who was
But
being inconvenienced?
right. But if at the same time we're talking about like a septic pregnancy or a victim of rape, you know what I mean? Like they're the woman's not allowed to make a decision in this situation. And
Mm-hmm.
as a dude, my stance on all of this stuff is I'm a guy. I shouldn't have a say in how like a woman is choosing to, like, this is her body. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
so it's sickening that we've had how many years of this now potentially being overturned. Like it just doesn't sit right. And to me, from a political standpoint, like I'm not a very political person. Like I don't get, like, for a lack of a better term, I don't get turned on by politics. Like that shit is not exciting or fun for me.
Mm-hmm.
But we're in a space where it seems like it doesn't really matter which party you're for, because the decisions that are being made, they seem to be benefiting only a certain type of person regardless of political party. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
So this is something that, like, as a guy, as I let off with, like, I just want to know realistically, what can I actually do to help? Like that, because it still feels like, there's really nothing for, and that, like, to feel powerless like that, like I can't even imagine how actual women feel. You know what I mean? Like this is their situation. So I think Kaleo, like you said, it's disgusting. Like this is just one of those situations where a little bit of faith in humanity, in my opinion, gets lost. Like that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I think it's all interesting, and when we say that is, if you want to just cut straight to it, it's who should have the right to have a right to say something about somebody else's body, right, or what they do to their body. Um, as we see, these, and I won't even use a bad term. There's people out there who have elected to get 20 plus surgeries to look a certain way, and there is not one ramification of them doing it other than it's their choice, but they understand the health risk of their decisions. How is this any different, right? It's because it again, let's just call it what it is. They need to blow it up and start it all over again. The rules and the rights and the law that was wrote so many years ago, it's a thing where you say, well, we want to hold on to those, and it's not a problem holding on, but you also have to revitalize, right? You can have a right, an old right, but then have it pertain to the day and age that you are currently living, because the right, when it was made, the law was pertaining to the day and age that it was written into. So why can't you then say, it's about time we probably should revise this? This is just what we do, right? Because if we're going to keep the morals and the laws that we standed on when we wrote this shit, we got to do it at the same time, knowing that this shit was later on, right? At the end of the day, you have to understand that and again, it goes so far deep into understanding. I know
That's
people
an
bring up,
interesting point, B. That's a real interesting point.
people are going to bring up the population situation, the thing, and the merit behind all of it was really about health, right? Initially was about the health, right? But and the privacy of the individual or of the woman who was going to have the procedure done. So if there's a privacy and you're talking about health, then the protection starts with the first part of that, the privacy of who decides, and then also the health of the person that's going to get the procedure done. When you then get into the problem of, like, again, you're talking about state outside of an actual, the courts, you're talking about, now you're getting into the financial side of the house, right? Because there's the benefit of this being around and there's the benefit of it not being around. Who benefits from either side is what's going to be the more telling part of where this is going to be. And I'll just leave it at this. I kudos, and I swear for life, I will put up any of those companies, or even like just support them for the companies that was like, yo, any of our employees that decide to go through that, we'll send you to the states that still rock with that decision so you can get that done, and you feel confident enough that you don't have to come to work and being judged by and that's what because now you're infringing on the privacy piece again. And what you're going to do is you're going to have these people start going to behind the alley situations that are then causing the health problem. This is all the stuff they put in place so this stuff wouldn't happen, and it's like you put it in place after you went backwards on it, and then now you want to take it back, and then you have a problem when people start getting these back alleyways, like I'm saying, in Vegas, and they getting procedures done, and now you got more health issues on your hands than you do what you did before. So it's just like, come on, man, like, what are we really talking about? And it's almost one of those moments where you just want to go to each and every one of those people, whoever decided to vote for this, and just tell them that the only bad thing about life is that your mom didn't swallow you. So, because that's where we're at with it. That's where we're at with it. Because had she decided to have you, but if she didn't, your punk ass wouldn't be here to tell the story about what it is. Or the fact, if you're a dude and you got a wife, and let's say something happens and she wants to go, or she has to have a situation that she needs to get done, or something happens to her, all of a sudden your punk ass is going to change the merit of that, because why? It's going to be something that's in your backyard. Again, most of these people that are making these cases or that are having their hands on this shit, they don't have to deal with this. They're not living the day-to-day life of the motherfuckers that are living here that have to figure it out, right? They don't have to figure shit out. And their shit is much more private than a motherfucker. Let's just put that out there. They got the most dirt and the most skeletons, and they shit, and they rug. It's not even a rug. They sweep that shit in a fucking house with the rest of the shit they got going on. And they only kick out the people who aren't holding up their end of the bargain, because there's gonna be some fallout from this, of the motherfuckers who decided who went for this. But again, I will say it again: your mom should have swallowed you.
It's like a mic drop right there, bro. I don't even know how you follow that shit up.
Well, this weekend, look, you should definitely grab you some DC Shot Pie. Save 10% on us. Look, WRC10. Go down there and check out Grant and all the people at DC Shot Pie. There you go. Look, all this deliciousness going on right there. There you go. All right.
I feel like there was like a swallow joke built in for the lead in for the pizza, but I'm glad that you didn't make it.
He had one of these.
There was plenty of opportunity to get that joke in, and I let it go.
I'm so happy that you didn't go that way, bro. Like,
let it go. I let the joke go. All right. We probably don't really need it. Is it just E? After what we just got, I think that might have been it. But go ahead,
It's like, let's take one controversial subject and then let's go. Is it just E?
There we go.
Yeah. But this is funny enough because Cleo is. So he sends out the topics that we'll talk about, and he sent the fucking Tropicana thing, and it got my mind wondering, like, how, last week we talked about the courtesy flush, so us being back in work, which again I still feel like it's still banter because we did get a picture, in house with some clothes, hung up on a hook with shoes on the side. We won't name any names of where that came from, but
y'all see how big that stall was too.
It was luxurious. It was definitely luxurious. It definitely.
And look,
you can tell by the tiles on the floor.
I left my toe in the shot on purpose.
Oh my god! You can't make this shit up. This is where we.
Pun intended.
Right. Oh man. But anyway, so the Tropicana thing kind of promoted this segment, this week's segment of Is It Just E? Now, as a kid, we were prone to a couple of things. Cereal being one of them, right? The Frosted Flakes, just the sugary, unless you was maybe Chad or had a different household where, you got the, warm breakfast in the morning already made for you, the nice, fruit, and things of that nature. Most of us had to get the cereal and get the fuck up out the house, right? On a good day or every once in a while, my dukes might, we can go to McDonald's, you wake your ass up early enough to go, but that was an incentive. And even still, it is what it is. However, one of the things I thought about as a kid was, because I was introduced to the sandwiches, not sandwiches. Understand, Chad? I said sandwiches. That the sandwiches were a very vital part of a kid's upbringing. Because here is the reason why. The sandwich can go either way, right? The sandwich, when you went to school, identified if you were going to get beat up or not. Why? Because of the type of sandwich that your mom's or your dad made for you when it came time for lunchtime. Was a big deal. Right? Ham and cheese was just like, you knew you was all right, you was safe. Some people got a little fancy, Pops had other, cold cuts in the house and you got, got a little fresh, some people got the, the pastrami, might even got it fried, real quick, that's a good meal. That was a good one. That was probably because Pops was out of town and you got the, the last piece of pastrami, so you got it handled. Other, some of us got the bologna. Now some used to rock the bologna that had little, I think it was peppers, whatever it was, but they, these used to just pick that shit out and just kind of fling it at people at lunch and shit like that, right? But then I got to thinking a little deeper than this. there was always that one kid that we would laugh at. And I was a part of the laughing crew, even though internally I knew about this. But there is one piece of the bread. There's actually two pieces. There's two pieces of the bread that for some strange reason get a very bad, it's a very bad name. Like it's like when they say you eat the butt of the bread because it looks like the back of your hand, it just kind of it triggers something for you that you're not really eating bread. That's not the good piece. Like that's the bad piece. I'll just say this: I wasn't one of those kids because let's just be honest. Look, when you was at the crib, and if it was these last two pieces, the butt and the front, whatever you want to call it, I probably wouldn't make a sandwich because it's a little tougher because it's a little harder on that side. I'd probably get a hot dog, boil that shit. You know what I'm saying? Old hot dog water where the pod just still be on top of it or whatever. Shake that shit off. Little, mustard, little ketchup. Crunch that whole together like a little gordita. You know what I'm saying? And you go to town. But I thought about it. Is it just eat? Or were we predisposed, or there's some kids that's predisposed to know that, hey, the last part of the sandwich is really bad. Like it's still bread. But because it looks different than the rest of the bread that you eat, somehow some kids used to frown upon it. Like, I'm not eating this sandwich. I don't know about my niece and nephew over there. I don't even think they eat sandwiches. I seen what, especially now when they dad's on keto, these little niggas is probably eating chicken nuggets and all kind of other shit.
Actually, there are peanut butter and jelly sandwiches made in the morning.
Okay, because you're the resident on the show with the kids. Do my niece and nephew have an issue with the butt of the bread?
Well, I have an issue with it, so I'm sure they will have an issue with it because I can tell you when it comes to the end of the bread, there are two slices left, and they both go in the trash, and the plastic goes right into the recycle. And let me tell you, those two growing up, and it's so funny that we skip over that piece of that first slice and make our sandwich from the second slice on down.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen anybody in that should probably lead into a good kind of survey. Have you ever made a sandwich with mixed match bread? If you start at the very beginning and take the next slice, so you have the butt and the gut or whatever of the bread. If you make a sandwich with that, now that's some psychotic shit right there. I'm sure somebody's done it. But yeah, so no, there's always two slices left. And then growing up, the crust used to get cut off of my bread because the top part of the bread, that little smooth, I hated that. It would either get cut or I would peel it off. And then but the sides and the bottom, that was fine. But now we're fine. I'm good with the top of the bread. But yeah, there's always two slices left. And nobody gets them because they file 16 in the trash. CB?
I need to hear the comments in the comment section chime in while CB's doing his.
This is really hilarious to me because
oh my god, you know what? That would be he's gonna go out and buy that fucking orange juice cereal.
So I think some of y'all know. Some of y'all know I've had the privilege of being a best man in a few weddings.
Uh-huh.
And one of the things I left this out of my brother and sister-in-law's speech, but out of I've lived with my brother and my now sister-in-law for essentially the last 6 years. Me and my brother moved in together. He started dating her very soon after that. Now they're married. I got a nephew on the way any day now. But what I have learned is that when it comes to loaves of bread in the house, there's only one person out of the three of us that eat the ends at all. And it's me. You better believe that they open up a new loaf, and I know that they did, and I know that they started it not at a bookend. And I was going, in my best man speech, I was going to add something about the fact that I'm the only person in the fucking house that eats the ends of the bread. Like, for everything that they do, and they do a lot, they do not eat the ends of the bread. They will throw that shit out.
What
And I
sandwich?
mean,
What do you do with it? Like, what kind of
you do the same thing that you do with any other sandwich. You put stuff in between it.
It's still
But
bread.
it's still
Yeah, but
bread,
that's a
and
different.
like it's like pizza crust. Some people really do not fuck with pizza crust, and that's
That I don't
fine.
get. That I
That's
don't get.
fine. That's fine. All this is extra crust. Like, that's all that it is. You know what I mean? Like, if I really want a sandwich, and yes, shout out to DC Shy Ply.
Speaking of pizza
Yes,
crust,
yes. Speaking of pizza crust, get some Chicago deep dish. Um, but what all I'm saying is that bread is bread. I don't discriminate in hardly any aspects of my life for certain things, and bread is not one of those things that I also discriminate against. If Because you better believe we're talking about prices going up for everything. It's not like bread is cheaper. So what is the point of throwing away two pieces of bread just because it's got a little bit, more character to it? I don't know if Chuck Claggett is still in the chat, but I
he's there.
mean, I would love to have a mother's view on cutting the edges off for her son. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
We should
that's
have had moms
hilarious.
on this. We should have
Right.
had moms
I
on
mean,
this part.
we can dive deeper too because now it's all about preference of bread. She loves Wonder Bread, and then gets after me, or she's been known to make jokes because I do split top wheat, and she's like, I don't eat that shit. I mean, it's Wonder Bread. It's all Wonder Bread or nothing. I never did that. Oh no, I don't know if she's saying that comment came a little too fast. So
Hey,
I don't think that was the answer
hey,
to your question you just
hey,
asked.
hey. No, but there are, like, it was always a big thing in my family when, like, my grandfather, if he went to the store and he came back with like a loaf of French bread. You know what I mean? It came with a baguette.
That's a
That's
little different.
all. That's all end pieces. You know what I mean? Like, don't try to cut it some other way, pun intended. And the sandwiches made with the baguettes always hit. They always hit. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I'm not out here to slander the end pieces. I got two people in my household that I know will not eat them regardless. So,
Let me
it's
tell you.
it's up to CB to save the loaf.
Right.
That's how it
So
is.
let me tell you. Let's do this comparison. The baguette is the naturally thick woman. The ends of regular bread is a horrible BBL. Oh boy, we're killing it tonight. Boom! I tell you what, I'm in my house. Ain't nobody getting me and slap the shit out of me for a bad joke.
Whew.
Out of control. Look, this is the first week I've actually been prepared, so I got extra time to tell jokes and shit. All right, CB, what we got for that soul swap?
So Soul Swap, as most of the family knows, is the segment of the show where we're going to tell a story about the sneaker industry that we think is important. we think the family needs to know about, be aware about. One of our favorite boutiques,
Mm,
just from the standpoint of the collaborations that they do, what they stand for. Um, we know B's been in the comments. We know he loves them. Ama Manier.
mm,
I want to say that their original store is down from Atlanta. Like it's based in Atlanta. That's where the first store was. Um, they had a literal attempt at a backdoor break-in. Like we joke, and I mean sometimes not joke, about the backdooring in the sneaker community, which for
mhm,
those that are not aware, that is when shops basically are giving away pairs, or brands are giving away pairs to these resellers ahead of the game, so that they can sell pairs of highly sought after sneakers at a markup. There's been a big issue with that. If y'all are not aware of who Benjamin Kicks is, just put his name
mhm.
into the Google machine, look up the recent news that they've had surrounding him. Like, do that. Ama Manier literally had an attempted break-in recently, and it resulted in a police officer getting shot, supposedly by a security officer. Like I don't really understand how that transpired. Um, but this is the kind of shit that it is just getting out of hand. Like we were at and you can speak to this being out in the LA area. There is a lot of just craziness from a crime standpoint that's going on. We know that here in the DC area, carjackings are up.
Yep.
Um, I saw a video like earlier today, about there was a restaurant, like a family owned restaurant in the California area, where two dudes just rolled up and lit at gunpoint, and are held up these two restaurant workers, took them for everything that they had. The crime is just crazy right now, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And it's all like, and within the sneaker community, with resale prices being through the roof, for a lot of sneakers, Ama Manier has one of the most sought after releases of the year coming up. um,
Yep.
they literally had sneaker of the year last year. They had two uh, qualifiers for that. Um, and they've got the Air Jordan 2 coming out soon,
Yep. The official images were released like yesterday or today.
and so there are people out there literally trying to get their hands on this shit. We know that it's not for the benefit of the people. And this shit just really needs to stop. I want to know what you guys have to say on the topic, because this is just the kind of story that it kind of pisses me off, to be honest. Like just to have this stuff continuing to go on, and it's affecting one of our passions. You know what I mean, directly.
Yeah. I mean, there's been, like you said, there's been a lot of these stories circulating in the news where people are just, they're going for what they want. They're just taking, right? And it's become dangerous because, the sneaker community is huge. And people who are doing this, I personally don't think it's collectors. I think it's people who want to benefit financially from this. And I don't know what has to change in any of these situations when it comes to those flash kind of robberies. But I just know that, I mean, eventually there's gonna be an example set somewhere to be like, from now on, these are the consequences that these people face in situations like this. Because as employees, one, you're not allowed to put yourself in harm's way, so you can't chase, you can't approach. You just have to stand there. Granted, and the stuff isn't yours, but it's still a feeling of violation, one way or another, right? And especially if there's weapons involved, then it really becomes like a personal thing at that point because now you really feel like powerless. So, yeah, it sucks. I mean, but again, it's all leading to probably death of brick and mortar, and it's all solely
Yeah.
going to be online.
Yeah, I mean, we've already, I mean, shit, I think, what was it, a couple weeks ago, we detailed how shit, even getting your shit in the mail is not guaranteed, or they've been
Yep.
ripping us off. Like I said, you might as well just start working for UPS and just kind of so you can collect your own shit. Like, hey, I just want to work here so that when I see name on the mail, like I know that it's coming directly to my house and not nowhere else. You know what I mean? But yeah, listen. I think this is one of those things where when I read it and I sent it to the crew, I was just like, the first thing that came to mind is like, damn man, we can't have shit. And it's that mentality of we can't have shit is because it's people like that are I'm gonna get money over everything else, and the culture means nothing to me because I don't have culture, right? And it ain't got nothing to
Yep.
do with race. This is just a sneaker culture. This is a culture of people who are, who, have, like, if you think about it, sneaker culture is kind of like one of those, like, you don't have to necessarily, it looks like everybody. Like, there's not one person that stands out that's like, he's a part of the sneaker community. No, we all walks of life, you know what I'm saying? And I think that's the one true thing that we hold true to being sneakerheads is, like, our affiliation or our culture is not one-sided, right? There's not a one, you can't just go into a room and just be like, yeah, this is all sneakerheads. You know what I mean? Like, you can assume, but you really don't know. Then you can go in the next room and everybody got on suits and not realize, I still going, like, I'm checking feet regardless. Like, that's just the first initial thing I do, regardless if it's a corporate event or anything. I'm oh, okay, okay. And because of that, I feel like when shit like this happens, now you're talking about pushback release. The company in itself is like now probably scrambling on, do we even go about having this as if it's that way? And if they do have it, now you got more security presence, which automatically brings out more of the people that are gonna want to test the situation or just be like, I'll wait for the person to get their pair and just hit them up when they get to their car, or
Mm-hmm.
follow them home because they're not watching, they're not vigilant of what it is, and that one pair is worth whatever it is to my life to then go sell online for, a few $100s more than what it is. You know what I'm saying? So it makes the chase of it go down. But, like I said, we're true sneakerheads. We're all going to go for it. And, hopefully, and I think what we do in our culture is we turn something like that's bad like this into a praise situation of the actual company, what they mean, and we highlight them for not just bad shit, but actually what it is that we got going on. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying? So,
welcome to the room, Patty Cake Piper.
but yeah, man. And again, whoever the robbers are, they mom should have swallowed them too.
All right, TD, what we got for that copper drop?
So we have a Saturday release coming out on the 7th. For those that don't know the history, Michael Jordan never played. He never played in the Air Jordan 9, but there are some classic player exclusives. This is actually the first Jordan model, as far as I'm aware, that actually got player exclusives. Look up the Penny Hardaway PEs. But on Saturday, the chili red Air Jordan 9s are dropping. They're going to be $200. What you might not remember is that even though MJ didn't wear these on the court, he did have or baseball versions that were made because this is when
Yep.
he was playing baseball. So when he was in the minor league affiliate for the White Sox, he actually had Air Jordan 9 cleats,
Yo,
which
OT show, love y'all, love you too, brother. But
um
Patty, hey, look, Piper, you've had some amazing luck, so I don't
she
doubt that
might
I
be the
won't see
one.
you. I'm sure I'll see you. Got him on your post.
So they're $200. They're coming out on Saturday. Are these a cop or drop for y'all? So for me, these are not a must-have. For me personally, um, the 9 isn't my favorite model. I know a lot of people do like them, but these are one of those where if I get it after
Never.
the fact, I'm cool. But I'm not entering any raffles personally. But how do y'all feel?
Oh, I think your text message is gonna blow up now that people know that you're not gonna enter the raffle with your size. I think that's what's about to happen. For me, uh, oh, wait a minute. CB is a drop. So yeah,
Ooh,
I was torn when I seen these because yes, I love an all red shoe that has become a staple in the sneaker community recently. But I feel like all the red shoes that people want are mids or lower. And I'm not talking about a Jordan mid. I'm just talking about the size of shoe. Like the Red Octobers, I believe, are considered a mid. They're not considered a high top. Um, and or like red Vans, obviously those are low tops. And then I think all the red shoes that are
a
low
lot of
cut.
Air
So
Maxes, which are technically mids or lower for sure.
yeah. So it's just like I was torn because the silhouette of the 9 to me, they never one the material always looked funny on the 9. Like if you look at the toe box, it always made your like the front of the foot look smaller just because of the way it was built. But the OG colorway that came out was the white and blacks with the like the red ball on the back. Those were dope. I had the Wizards versions, whatever they called those, the Flints or
Those are
whatever.
dope.
Yeah. But these, I'm like, I'm with you, CB. I'm about to be fired by Piper too. I'm not. It's not a must-have. These are going to sell out because the sneaker community is what it is. These aren't like those sevens that I got that nobody wants. These are, I mean, these are one of people's favorite silhouettes. So that's the thing. Like, yes, Piper. Yeah, what? Yes, exactly. It's one of those things where I'm torn because I need to see it on foot, but by the time I see it on foot, it's probably gonna be too late. But I really want to see him in person. Hey, exactly. But no,
If these were the penny PEs coming out, or
yeah.
like you said, the classic white and black, like
I'm
yeah, like
just
those are a must
right
cop in
now.
my opinion.
I just think it's the wrong
Um,
silhouette for a Jordan to do all red. I really do. The 4 all red looked amazing. The all red 11s looked amazing. I just the silhouette is just is I don't know. As of right now,
where
it's
you
not a
at, E?
must have.
Yeah, like I love an all red shoe.
I
The
think
you got
yeah,
the,
we're
the,
not
the you
hating
got
on
Yeah,
the
you
that,
do
you
that.
know.
no. I mean, you got the
And the smaller
Toros. You
foot will
got
probably look good in them poppers. So
yeah. I mean, you got the Toros. You got like you said, the fours. The that came out that was the female colorway with the gum bottoms was crazy. You know what I mean? I missed those. I really wanted those. I like I am torn. Like I think I would want it just to put in the collection, but again, I'm probably not like I'm definitely not gonna enter a raffle. But when the release happens, I will probably go for
and you
them.
have to wear those
Um,
out of state.
no, I don't necessarily have to wear them out of state. I just have to know where I am currently at to wear them. So when I get
That's
out my
facts.
car to and from the location where I am going and what city and what block I may be on is what I need to know.
Facts.
However, these are also ones that are just saying,
Piper, just send us the size. You know you got some
you
extra
got
entries. You know what I mean?
right, you
Yeah.
got two extra entries over here, and you don't want to go too much because you end up fuck around and have 3 pair of shoes you got to
And
pay
when
for. Then you
with
gonna
all
have a
the
real
damn
problem.
fans, you gotta pay up.
But I will say this, just to go off of that, right? I will agree with kind of you both, but I would say that the silhouette that I really wanted was the I think Jay Rich had a Phoenix silhouette of a 9 before that, really rare, but was retardedly crazy because it had that I think it had like the purple bottoms with the orange kind of on the back of the heel, and the tongue was purple. Like that shit was just wild. Like so, yeah. I think it's the aesthetic of the actual shoe, the 9, compared to the actual colorway of it that you just kind of want to be like, I got them. It's the 9. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. And they $200, but I'm looking for those Neapolitan 3s that come.
Yo,
So,
that part. The price point for them joints.
I'm sorry.
This shit was hilarious. A Rick James shoe. You can. They were like, oh my, like 3 pair of styles, whatever, were one in Maryland. And also, look, if you E. Tomlinson is not going to enter the draft for too, so yeah, your odds are getting pretty big. I don't know what Be Easy's going to do. He probably needs to do a fashion
needs
review
to still be aware. He still needs to be aware that I got that one golden ticket still left for a raffle on a shoe. Unfortunately, yeah, these things are like, full year. It's only a year. Then after that, it like expires. You know what I'm saying? So is what it is.
All right, let's go ahead and do this shoe and tell. Let's see. All right, so me and CB and E. CB kind of spearheaded it. Started off the consecutive day shoe challenge that we're in the office. How long we can go without rotating in the same pair of shoes. So every time we come to shoe and tell, I'm just like, well, what haven't I shown yet? What do I want to show? Do I want to show some heat? Do I want to whatever? So I wore a pair in on Tuesday that I don't think I've ever shown on the show. So let's go with this box right here. We already know what this represents right here, and it's a collab. So you got a little bit of like hieroglyphic writing or whatever it is. But then there's also a dolphin right there. If you people don't know, that's Pink Dolphin. They were pretty popular a couple years back with their clothing brand. I don't know if they've kind of fizzled out a little bit. The paper is even a Puma and the Pink Dolphin. It came with black laces. And I was rocking them with black laces, but then for work this week, I was like, I'd had an alternate pair of white laces in there, and I decided to rock them with the white. But yeah, so it's kind of like a green, as you can see what the camera's doing. It's definitely like a greenish bottom somewhat, but they're black. Got the classic Puma thing right there. There's a little writing on it, white laces, waves on the back. This is kind of a pink. You can't really. The light is probably too bright for it, but that's kind of a pink. But yeah, something basic. Suede, Pink Dolphin, Puma Classics. That's all I got.
All right. I'm going to go. I started off the year with a shoe that I was hoping that the sneaker guys would allow me to then kind of get. You know what I'm saying?
I got you. Just say the word, and I'll enter.
But I did see that. I did see that this shoe that I'm about to show is actually coming out in a low top, and for that, I'm going to show the original shoe. But I will say that because it's really just the colorways, and because they come out in a low top, I'm for sure gonna get them. But the bio, I have shown these before, the biohacks, but to know, and CB, I forgot if I sent it to you or not, but they are dropping the low biohacks sometime this year. And I want to say that that's a shoe that even low, mid, high, whatever the fuck, it still looks good. And I pray to God that they never make a mid, because I would have to maybe fall on the sword and get it. But because they realize that this shit should only be in a high and then in a low and never should ever touch a mid, that's why we're gonna say goodbye. And also, I need to wear this shoe. Let's just be honest. Like,
see my screen, CB?
Yep. Yeah. No, that's the thing. Like, if they come out with the mid, like E from Rose Beer and Whiskey is gonna pull this video out. Because the slander that me and E Rich have given the Jordan 1 mid is
twos and mids.
we've already accepted that there are some twos.
I'm about to say your day is coming because the two. It started with the twos, and now here we go.
We already said we were good for the twos.
But so I was on the Sneaker News website recently, and I saw that there were some green snakeskin dunks that are supposed to drop later this year, and I was like, oh, that's cool. Like snakeskin on a dunk, that's kind of classic. But wait, wasn't there a pair that dropped last year that I like the colorway better? And from what I was recalling, the resale prices on them were fairly affordable. So I literally go to StockX, and I'm like, oh, yep, I'm right. There was a pair that dropped last year in a colorway that I like better than this green that is dropping at some point in 2022. And so I put a bid in, and it didn't take too long, but the bid got accepted. And so last year, if y'all follow me on social media, I've posted these a few times in the last 24 hours. But these are the Undefeated Signal Blue dunks.
Yeah.
This is part of the Air Force One versus dunk pack that they did. So we're talking about two of the most classic Nike silhouettes that you can go with, and they were calling this the I got 5 on it or 5 on it pack. And the reason is because they use 5 different materials on the shoes. And so the snake print overlays, as you can see, and I've worn these. I wore these today. This leather is buttery soft leather. They're like, this joint creases like crazy. But it's canvas. They got this purple canvas right here. This is suede. And then you got nubuck as well on here. And so I wanted to get a pair of dunks that I felt like I could kind of beat up a little bit and like wear every day. And so for the price, I was like, yo, these are gonna do it for me because I think that these are actually sick. They came with stock blue laces. They got an aged midsole, and they got like these cream yellow laces that like kind of match the aged midsole. So I had to swap them out. Yep. But
they bring the shoe out a whole lot more.
Yeah, I think it makes it look way doper. But yeah, this is what we're going with for shoe and tell this week.
Oh. All right. Well, look, we are at the point where we're done.
We had a lot to talk about tonight.
we had a lot to talk about tonight. We appreciate each and every one of you rocking with us, coming through, chiming in, talking, and just putting up with us for an hour and 40 minutes by the time we end this. Pusha T has #1 album out. I think we all maybe saw that one coming. Action Bronson put out a dope record. If you haven't checked that out, listen to that. Luke dropped the deluxe version of his album. Check that out.
Rocky dropped a single today.
Shout
out to Riri.
Yeah, they heard they got engaged.
She was all up in the video. So.
I saw he had a "Marry Me" gold tooth grill going on. She says "I do" on hers. So one could expect.
All I'm saying is, again, round of applause for A$AP Rocky. Like,
what do you think about that song?
I mean, it's A$AP shit at this point. Like, there is nothing in my mind. It's hard to recapture early 2010s A$AP Rocky, fresh in the game, Peso, Goldie. Like, it's hard to. He doesn't want to do that shit again. You know what I mean?
Nope.
But I mean, Kaleo, that's one of my favorite hip hop artists. So it just is what it is. Everything that he drops, I'm gonna listen to it. And Stu's got Rihanna.
Yeah, there you go. For the win, right?
Bruh, it doesn't get better than that.
Kind of go. You know what? This goes out Oh, with it. Look, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. I know you're still in here somewhere. Chuck Claggett, happy Mother's Day.
Mama.
Yeah. All the mothers out there. What is this?
Crooked Crab Brewing.
Cheers.
Odenton.
Oh, that's right. Shout out to them. All right, y'all. Look, we have something else.
Peace.
Peace.